All right. Welcome in, everybody. Open Floor, NBA podcast. Chris Mannix here. Rachel Nichols will join me in just a couple of minutes. And we've got a full show for you once Rachel gets in. We've got a lot of talk about the 76ers, who are starting to get some attention now with their season set to formally kick off on Friday, media day for the Sixers. We'll talk about all the pieces that need to fit in Philly, Orlando. A lot of people excited about Desmond Bane in that Eastern Conference, a chance for the Magic to make a big jump this year, and the Denver Nuggets. I don't think the Nuggets are getting enough respect as a real threat to Oklahoma City going into this season. I think they are kind of on equal footing to me with the Thunder, and I think some of the predictions I've seen out there have not been appreciating the Nuggets as much as they probably should. But we began the show talking about the Houston Rockets, specifically the Kevin Durant edition of the Rockets. We did a whole segment on that, but we recorded it prior to the injury to Fred VanVleet. So I want to get into that a little bit before we go to Rachel to talk about the Durant stuff. Fred VanVleet is now likely done for the season after tearing the ACL in his right knee, and this is unquestionably a body blow for the Rockets. I mean, Fred VanVleet was a workhorse for this team the last couple of years. He played 70-plus games 2 years ago. He was at 60 last season. Every time he played, he started. Every time he played, he was right around 35, 36, 37 minutes per game. So he was a workhorse for them, and he'll be missed. There's no doubt about it, because on top of what he provided as a player, he was also the de facto leader of that team. More so now that Dylan Brooks is gone, Jalen Green is gone, so his veteran presence is going to be missed off the floor just as much, I think, as it's going to be missed on it. The question now becomes, is he replaceable? Is this Rockets season salvageable with Fred VanVleet out of the rotation? And the short answer to me is yes, because while VanVleet is a big part of Houston's rotation, I think they do have guys that can step in and are ready for bigger roles. And I think it's going to begin with Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson, who was penciled in to be the starting two guard, one of the fastest rising stars in the NBA. 6'7", defensive menace, great rebounder for the guard position. The last year mostly, he has gotten some reps as the lead guard. You remember when Fred VanVleet went out with injury in the second half of the season? It was Amen Thompson that stepped in, played a lot of point guard. I was in Houston recently, and one of the things that Thompson told me right off the bat was that he spent most of the offseason working on those lead guard skills, ball handling, decision-making. He wanted to show he could be as a good extension of the coaching staff on the floor. These were all priorities for him. So he's coming in confident in his ability to do that. Now, he can't do all the things that VanVleet can do, and he certainly is younger and less experienced, but I think he's got it in him. I think he has the ability to step into that point guard spot and do a more than credible job on the offensive end of the floor. And we know defensively, he can handle it. He can guard 1 through 4 easily. And if you play an Amen Thompson at 6'7" at point guard, you got one of the biggest lineups in NBA history. Like, are you playing Kevin Durant at 2 guard? I know that's been discussed in Houston as an option. Jabari Smith, also 6'11", Alperen Sengun, Steven Adams. I mean, you've got some big bodies down there in Houston that are going to be some jumbo lineups for the Rockets. Houston also has Reed Sheppard, who didn't do much last year, his rookie year, but he was the number 3 overall pick in the draft. And in college, he shot better than 50% from 3. Didn't meet those expectations as a rookie, spent a lot of time in the G League, but in Houston, they're expecting a jump from Reed Sheppard. So if you've got, Amen Thompson ready to step in as a starting point guard, Reed Sheppard ready to step up, Aaron Holiday, who was a durable, rotation piece last year, just 28 years old, played 15-ish minutes per game last season, another guy that can step in and give you minutes. I think you can still overcome the loss of VanVleet. It's not optimal, and it shrinks your margin for error, but I think you can overcome the loss of VanVleet. And look, when I was in Houston, while I was down there to mostly report a story on the impact of Durant and how he got there and what he brings to that team, Rockets officials that I talked to consistently said to me, Like, yes, we believe Kevin Durant is a difference maker. That's why we brought him in. But this team is only going to go as far as our young pieces take us. They're only going to go as far as Amen Thompson can take them, developing. Alperen Sengun can take them, developing. Reed Shepherd can take them, developing. Jabari Smith can take them, developing. They need all these guys to take a big jump. That was true before the VanVleet injury, and it's certainly even truer now. If those guys take the kind of steps that the Rockets believe they're capable of taking this year, well, this is still a team that I think can be a threat to compete and to potentially win the Western Conference. Because if they take that jump and they keep these games close, well, now they've got one of the greatest half-court isolation scorers in NBA history backing them up. So as devastating as this is for the Rockets, I don't think it ruins their season. I don't think it ends their season. I don't think it drops them a tier in the Western Conference. I still think they're right up there as a real threat, along with the Thunder, along with the Nuggets. And really, that's it. Those three teams, to me, are on a pretty high tier in that Western Conference. So big year, was a big year for Thompson, for Shepherd, now an even bigger year for both those guys. All right. Welcome back. Open Floor, NBA podcast, and what I'm officially calling the start of season 2 of the Open Floor podcast. Chris Mannix, Rachel Nichols, All the Smoke, Monumental Sports Network, Fox Sports 1, and back again for a second season of Open Floor. And I say it's the start of the season, Rachel, because on Friday...
Training camps, baby.
Training camps.
Finally.
Finally? You want to say finally you're ready for it to be here? I'm like, wow, that happened fast. That's not come on to you. I'll be in Philadelphia for the 76ers training camp open. Probably one of the top 3 most intriguing training camps, I think, of the year. Just because we have no idea what Joel Embiid is going to look like, what Paul George's health is going to sound like, what Tyrese Maxey is ready to do, VJ Edgecombe, all those things. So I'm excited about that. But we're here. Season 2 on us already.
I like it. I'm going to see what the Clippers have to say for themselves on Media Day.
I'm going to be there too. They're what are they, 29th, I want to say, 29th, something like that. Yeah, I haven't gotten that press release yet. But I'll be at that one too, because I think there's
some key big things to discuss.
I think there will be a lot to get into with Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. That's for sure on that media. We're going to talk about the 76ers. We're going to also talk about a perceived lack of respect for the Denver Nuggets. Our friend Tim Bontemps out with another one of the Bontemps polls that are making the rounds as well. I'm surprised how few people really have faith in the Denver Nuggets making something happen this year, but we're going to get into that as well. But I want to start with the team that I've been reporting on a little bit over the last few weeks, and a team that I'm very bullish on going into this season. And that is the Houston Rockets, who made the most significant upgrade this offseason by adding Kevin Durant to the mix. Kevin joins a team that was outstanding, top 5 defensively, but as we saw in that first round series against Golden State, they just didn't have enough offensive firepower, especially in the half court, to get it done. You plug Kevin Durant in there, who remains at almost 37 years old, one of the best half-court scorers in the game, full stop. And it looks to me like a round peg, round hole type of fit. Like, when you look at this mix in Houston and adding Durant to it, do you see it as kind of a seamless fit? Are there concerns that you have when you look at it? How do you see this Rockets-Durant marriage?
I love it. First of all, I saw Kevin just a few days ago, and we talked a little bit about how he feels being there and everything. He was more excited and energized than I have seen him in a while. And that is great news, because an energized and engaged Kevin Durant is a very dangerous Kevin Durant, and just fun for the rest of us to watch as well. It's absolutely a hand-in-glove situation. And it's not just what Kevin is going to be able to do, because they didn't have a go-to scorer in those final minutes before. It is the gravity that he pulls. I think we constantly underestimate that. If you are Şengün or if you are some of these other guys, you are not getting the opponent's best defender in the clutch. It's not happening. That person's going to Kevin. So I think that that's going to create more offense for a team that lacked so much offense. It's not just that Kevin is going to create his own offense, but he is a multiplier in that sense, is that I think he's going to help the rest of the offense as well. And he's also, the vet of vets. He's won multiple rings. He and Udoka, really seem to get each other. I think all of those parts are really important, and I think he already has good chemistry with a lot of those young guys.
I think a couple things are working in the Rockets' favor on this. One is the Ime Udoka connection. And it's not just Ime Udoka. Royale Ivey is part of that coaching staff, his former teammate at the University of Texas, former teammate in Oklahoma City. I think they were in Brooklyn together for a bit as well. So there's a strong connection there. They also hired DJ Augustine is on that staff now, a former UT guy with KD. So there's a lot of comfortability with that Rocket staff. And I just look at what he can do and what they were missing. It just seems like an absolutely perfect fit. I mean, look, even as he approaches 37, Kevin Durant remains arguably the best scorer in the NBA.
Yeah.
He averaged 27 points per game last year and shot 43% from three. That was the best percentage he's had in his career in a full season.
On what team, Chris?
On the Phoenix Suns. And this is another point somebody made to me because I spent some time in Houston in September talking to people about this. It had to have been tough for KD to be motivated every single night. You're just out there playing. Sometimes you're playing the center position. You got a whole bunch of pieces that are good players, guys that he respected, but that didn't fit. It didn't make a lot of sense. And there was really no pathway to getting significantly better. Now you go to Houston, and not only do you don't have to carry that team. Alperen Sengun, who's coming off a ridiculous Eurobasket, was one of the best player in Eurobasket.
100%.
He's an all-star. Everybody I've ever talked to about the NBA believes Amen Thompson's on his way. This could be the year that Amen Thompson becomes an NBA all-star. They go 5, 6, 7 guys deep with real players. So it's not going to have to be the Kevin Durant show. But when they need it to be the Kevin Durant show, he can do it. He can take over games in half-court situations. I have a hard time seeing how this doesn't work. I guess injuries can screw anything up, but I have a hard time seeing how it doesn't work.
Yeah, that I've said for a couple of years now, how did Kevin Durant somehow become one of the most underrated players in the NBA? The answer to that, of course, is the teams he's been on and all of the combinations that were supposed to work didn't work out. If this combination works, and as you noted, from the coaching staff on down, it feels like they've really created a situation that will help this work. I just think people are going to be saying his name a lot as, oh, right, Kevin can do all this. Kevin can do that. Man, Durant, XYZ. I think for some reason he's fallen out of that very, very top player stratosphere in people's minds. And in some ways, sure, everyone gets older. But your point about being one of the best pure scorers, if not the best pure scorer in the league, is 100% true. And it's funny because I know we're going to talk about them a little later, but the two biggest trades of the offseason were Kevin Durant to the Rockets, right? And Orlando picking up Desmond Bane. And in both cases, they weren't just sort of, let me add a guy and hope that he helps. These are both multipliers that help everybody else on the floor because there is such a fit between them and the roster they're going into. I'm very bullish on the Rockets.
Yeah, and when I talked a little bit to Kevin as well about how he sees himself fitting. He doesn't speak in the short term.
Yeah.
He is about to be 37, but this is a guy that is going to play till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
That very easily could be an all-star into his 40s. Does different things than LeBron, but we have not seen, I think, any deterioration from him offensively. We've still seen a guy that can shoot the three at a high level, who can hit that corner, operate as a hub at the top of the key. And when Sengun, who a lot of times last year was seeing double teams or offenses kind of shift towards him, not going to see that quite so much with Durant out there. If Amen Thompson can just be a credible three-point shooter, low to mid-30s, he's going to see an offensive jump. All these guys are going to benefit so greatly from having Kevin Durant around. And I can tell from talking to a few of them, they're hungry for that type of mentorship. They're hungry for that leadership. Jabari Smith was telling me, and I don't want to give too much away because we've got a whole thing. Go buy the magazine. Go buy Sports Illustrated. But Jabari Smith, part of his offseason, a big part, was I got to become a better one-on-one player. I got to become a better offensive player. Jabari Smith is a 6'11 long guy trying to become an offensive player. Who better to learn from than the greatest 6'11 long scorer in NBA history? Amen Thompson, same thing. He feels like there's a big jump coming for him next season. Fred VanVleet is still there. Steven Adams is still there. Like, Kevin had to play in some small lineups last year. He's not going to have to play in small lineups this year. That is a massive team down in Houston.
I was going to say, there's so much height there on that team. I think it's VanVleet, and who else is below? Like,
Amin is 6'5"-ish. Like, they're all there. No, that's pretty much it.
I feel like there's one other guy who's sort of on
Might be missing someone,
less in stature.
Apologize to that guy.
But the point is, the rest of the entire team is big. Yeah. So I think that's a big deal as well. And also, look, every single player in the NBA wants and loves to play basketball. You do not make it to the NBA without having an incredible work ethic and a love of the game. I saw a stat the other day. It is easier now to become a billionaire in the U.S. than an NBA player. So just in terms of odds and things like that.
Awesome. I don't know, for people that are as athletic as me.
I don't know what that says about our country, but there you go. So everybody is like that. In that group of everybody like that, I have not seen a current NBA player who just likes to be playing basketball and that is his natural reset and go-to as much as Kevin Durant.
Who has proven to be durable. Like in the aftermath of that injury back in 2020, the Achilles tear, like he has picked up right where he left off. 2 years ago, he played 75 games. I want to say last year he averaged 37 minutes per game. Like
he's a hooper. I mean, I hate some of that language to me is sort of like, and look, they all are, but he is a hooper.
To bring it back to Udoka, I don't think Kevin has had a coach in a long time that he has vibed with as much as Ime Udoka. Like the Ime Udoka relationship with Kevin goes back to when Ime was a player, in San Antonio, trying to figure out how to stop this guy. Now he gets him in Brooklyn. He gets him with USA Basketball. Kevin noticed when Ime was taking the Celtics to the finals in his first year. Like he noticed how players respond to this type of coaching. I think deep down, Kevin wants to be coached like that. He wants someone.
I don't think it's deep down.
Maybe not deep down. Maybe on the surface.
I think Kevin is a pretty coachable guy, and the fact that he also is just situationally a Swiss Army knife, right? There is no team. I mean, this team is a perfect fit, but there's no team in the NBA where he would stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah. He would help anybody. So I think that because he is willing to be flexible in the way he plays, because he respects Ime so much, and Ime has a lot of creativity. And just sort of, that younger coach still trying to, excellent coach. Everybody ranks him in their top group of coaches, but still trying to win a championship, right? So you've got someone at the top who's very, very driven to look at ways, different combinations and different ways the team can get on the floor. We complained about the Knicks last year and people saying, oh, they're so predictable. They do the exact same thing. That is never the case to me with the Rockets. And I think Kevin is going to, not deep down, but on the surface, enjoy the fact that he is a coach who can really, teach him a few things here and there.
It's going to be interesting because we talked about the size, and the Rockets, it seems to me, are preparing to zig when the rest of the NBA is zagging. Like small balls kind of become en vogue in the NBA. The Rockets, I think, are going to have some lineups out there where it's like Durant could be a two guard in some of those lineups. Jabari Smith, Steven Adams, Alperen Sengun. We know that Ime likes to play Sengun and Adams together. He likes that combination. That's as big a lineup as you're going to get in NBA history.
Well, I think sometimes when we talk about this now with sort of the modern NBA player, we miss the fact, we used to talk about, they're playing big or they're playing small because the big guys were slow and lumpy, right? And they, couldn't do a lot of the things the small guys could do. That's less and less of the case in the league now. We should talk about how athletic or not athletic that team is. Because that's really, if you have athletic big men who can do a lot of the things a traditional small can do, it doesn't matter. Then it's just an advantage to play big because you have all of that and the height.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in Houston. I mean, they won 50 games last year. I think they go over that this year, and they're right there in the mix for a top 2 seed in the Western Conference. Yeah, no question. All right, so expectations on the Houston Rockets, and understandably so. When you're a 2 seed adding Kevin Durant, that's what comes with the territory. In the Eastern Conference, I'm curious what the expectations are going to be on Orlando. If Kevin Durant was the marquee offensive move in the offseason, Desmond Bane was a cut below him. I mean, Orlando, for the last 2 years, has been the number 2 team in the league when it comes to defensive efficiency, not deficiency, efficiency. They've got the front court firepower in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. They've got strong, sturdy defenders at multiple positions. Jalen Suggs coming back from an injury is going to be a huge addition for them. They just needed that one offensive puzzle piece. And on paper, it sure looks like Desmond Bane is that puzzle piece. I mean, he is a shot creator.
Yep.
He is a three-point shooter, plus 40% from three-point range last year. He's not a bad defensive player by any stretch who's going to slip right into what they do defensively. Maybe it's because the Eastern Conference is so bad. It just is. Like when you have top-tier teams like Boston and Indiana falling off, and you compare it to the Western Conference and the giants they have out there, I think Orlando's got a great chance to at least be a conference finalist. I think that Desmond Bane adds that kind of offensive muscle. Like, he doesn't have to make them a top 10 offensive team. They're good enough defensively that they can just get to the middle of the pack offensively. I think that's enough to get them to a conference finals. What do you think?
I mean, you talked about the three-point shooting. You just have to remember, and I brought up my stats here just to make sure this is correct, not just last in three-pointers made last season, Orlando, but last in three-point percentage also. So in terms of what they're taking and what they're making, just dreadful. So the floor is just going to rise so much offensively for them. Tyus Jones, of course, is a playmaker who can make things happen. The question is a little bit, are they going to be able to maintain what last year I believe was the number 2 defense in the league? And injuries. I mean, that's what undid
Constant
them.
problem. And that derailed them last year early. Like, they might have had a better finish and maybe even a better postseason performance if they didn't lose Banchero. You know, they didn't lose their guys, Wagner, to different stretches. Suggs for the end, last part. Like, I mean, they lost a lot of guys for a lot of time, and I give them credit for getting to where they did, despite all those injuries. So, yeah, you do have to be on the lookout for that, no question about it. But if they can stay healthy like that, look, Orlando knows that they overpaid for Desmond Bane. Like, they know it. They're not stupid. They know 4 first-round picks is a lot. Like, that's a high price.
I would argue that sentence.
But they know, I think I've talked to enough people that they know that they paid a premium for
that. Yes.
Okay, they paid a premium for.
Well,
him. But
no,
they see what we see. Like, I don't. Here's like a thing. Like, if Orlando was a Western Conference team, I'm not sure they roll the dice on Desmond Bane. But I think because they're an Eastern Conference team, and because the East sucks, and because like all you really have to get past is a Cleveland team that hasn't proven anything, and a Knicks team that maybe overachieved last year, like. You take a chance. You roll the dice.
Look, here's how we know they get the situation. I mean, they hadn't made a trade in how many years prior to that? This is a team that never makes trades, and they made this kind of trade. I don't think it's an overpay at all. I think, yes, they realized that they did a premium price for Desmond Bane, but it is all about what that player means to you. It is not about what that player means on the open market to 30 teams. It is what that player means to you. It's like real estate, right? You only need one buyer because for them, it's the perfect house. And if Desmond Bane fits as well as we think he is going to, I don't think it's an overpay. And especially since they're a team that's kept its powder dry for so long, they had the assets. I thought it was a very smart move, and I'm really excited to see what that team can do.
Yeah. I just think with that kind of reliable defense and adding that kind of player, they're going to be a threat to win that conference. I worry about experience becoming a factor when you get deep into the playoffs. I think the one thing Cleveland has going for it, among the things Cleveland's going for it, is that they have that continuity. Like, they have failed multiple times. I mean, look, it's the way it goes. Every team that's won a championship in the last few years has failed at some level, sometimes a bunch of times. And Boston failed a ton.
Yeah, not just the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, Denver failed a ton. Even Oklahoma City flamed out in the second round in their first playoff run. Like, you got to go through some of the paces there. I think they're at the end of the postseason, they're going to run into the problem of experience, but potentially stopping them from rising. But I love it on paper. Draft picks are draft picks. Maybe it'll hurt you in the long term. Maybe Bane isn't the fit. Sometimes guys don't fit the way you think they're going to. But on paper, that seems like a no-brainer for that team to roll the dice and throw Desmond Bane into that mix.
And you mentioned the 3 teams you think are going to be the most competitive. I think we're going to have a weird situation in the East where the derby in the East is actually going to be pretty competitive. I think the relationship of those teams to each other in the standings, and I think it's going to be one of those things where the games between those teams feel like big games because they count for so much.
It's going to be so bad.
It's just so,
West.
right. It's just playing at a different level.
Are you in favor of reseeding? Because I hear this a lot from Western Conference executives, like we should reseed. You know, a lot of them because they see what we see. Like plug my team into the Eastern Conference and I'm like a top 4 seed and I'm competing for a conference championship.
Well, are you talking about reseeding in the entire league?
No, playoffs start 1 to 16.
So you can't. We've had this conversation.
The teams want to keep having it though.
Some teams do, teams in the West.
Yeah.
Right? It is never going to happen. Everybody out there having this discussion year after year, it is never going to happen. And the reason it is never going to happen is it would need to be ratified by a certain number of owners that is more than half. I believe it's like 2/3 or something like that. You know what? If you're an owner of a team in the East, you don't want all of your teams eliminated in the first round, right? There is no way Eastern Conference teams are going to agree to cut their playoff revenue, to cut the playoff sort of energy and excitement they can give their fans. If you reseeded 1 through 16, to your point, to the point of the GMs or the people you're talking to in the West, what would happen in the first round, Chris?
Milwaukee wouldn't make the playoffs is what would happen, you know?
Right. So you can't, it's just not going to happen. So I get it why it's frustrating for teams in the West right now with this imbalance in the conferences. I get it why fans love to talk about it. But it's just a non-starter because of the money that teams make from being in the playoffs, the prestige, the justification of ticket prices and merch prices and trades and all the thing is, well, we made the second round. Well, we made the conference finals. And if every team in the East with this imbalance right now is just destined to either not make the playoffs or be gone by the first round, who's going to vote for that in the East? No one.
I think where the frustration is starting to bubble over is that this is kind of the apex of the moment, but the moment's lasted a long time. Like it has been a generation where the Western Conference has been light years ahead of the East. There's been Eastern Conference teams, LeBron's Miami team, LeBron's Cleveland team, the Celtics. Like there have been teams that you throw in here or there that win championships. So by and large, it has been a Western Conference dynasty for 20 some odd years. I think I agree with you. No way Eastern Comp. No way if you're like in Milwaukee, like, gee, let's reseed. Or if you're in Miami, you're going to say, let's reseed. But they like it the way that it is. The question is, though, should it be? And like, should we be seeing like a 52-win LA Laker team eliminated in the first round because they have to play 68-win Oklahoma City in the first round, whereas they could be playing, Chicago.
A team from the East that they're going to eliminate in the first round that no one's going to vote for. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think there has been this now generation plus of Western Conference dominance?
That's a good question.
What would you attribute it to?
I don't know. I think that having 2 LA teams helps in the Western Conference.
Because players want to live here?
Want to go there. Kawhi went from Toronto to LA for a reason. Paul George wanted to go back. He went east. Well, he went to Oklahoma City, I guess. But he wanted to play in LA. LeBron wanted to play in LA. I think that's a big factor in all this. Why? Do you have a better one?
No, I think it's an interesting question only in that if people can identify, it's because of XYZ and the LA thing is part of it, but that's only 2 teams, right?
Right.
I think once you start with good players want to play with those players. So Steph Curry is an attraction, even, I like San Francisco, but whatever city, he's in, that kind of thing. But what is really going to solve this isn't reseeding, because it's, again, not going to happen. It's not going to happen. What will really solve this is if the Eastern teams can figure out some of the recipes that the Western teams. And by the way, some of it is bad luck. Some of it is bad trades and bad front offices. Obviously, the front office part of this game is so underrated and makes such a...
100%. Look at the top 3 teams in the West that we're forecasting.
Right?
Oklahoma City, best drafting team in NBA history.
Yep.
Denver, drafted Nikola Jokic, a whole bunch of other guys that are from the foundation. Houston, we just talked about Durant, but Amen Thompson was drafted.
Right.
Alperen Sengun was drafted. They have... Jabari Smith was drafted. The core of their team is all drafted. You're right. I say this constantly, and it becomes repetitive, but just hit on draft picks and you win. Like, hit on draft picks. Like, everything else is just outside noise. Hit on draft picks, you're going to find a winner.
And look, the money you spend as a team on scouting, the number of scouts you have out there, the number of times they can see players play. The draft is in some case a crapshoot, right? And trying to judge what an 18-year-old is going to turn into in 5 years. But you can at least get an indication because there are teams out there doing it. Yeah. So there we go. Not going to happen. Have to fix it some other way.
All right, let's talk about a team that has drafted pretty well, but is now in a state of limbo, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers, who years and years ago, maybe it was a lifetime ago, took that flyer on Joel Embiid, waited 2 whole seasons and got an MVP out of it. Drafted Tyrese Maxey late in the first round. Years later, he is an all-star right now. They acquired Paul George. Last year began with the loftiest of expectations and ended with the heaviest of crashes. An awful season for Philadelphia. They hit the lottery. They wind up with a good draft pick. They get VJ Edgecombe, top 3 pick. So now they've got another young, dynamic talent to add to that mix. I was looking today at the over-under number of wins for the Philadelphia 76ers, and it's listed right now at 42.5. I can't bet on my phone here in California, but as soon as I get somewhere to bet on my phone,
you're not supposed to bet on the NBA.
You can bet on the NBA. You can't do is bet on as an awards voter.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't vote on that, but I can vote on the over.
Okay, all right.
I'm hammering the over on the 76ers. Hammering the over. Look, maybe I'm going to look like a jackass when it's all said and done. Wouldn't be the first time, but I'm just all in on these social media posts of the Sixers. Like I'm just like, I see Joel Embiid, and I don't see any knee brace on him. I see Tyrese Maxey, and he's balling out. I see VJ Edgecombe, and oh my God, he's going to be a dynamic rookie that competes for Rookie of the Year. I see Paul George doing like chest presses, and I'm impressed. I'm like, Paul George, he's in great shape. He's ready to go.
Here we go.
Look, maybe they won't be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but if you're asking me right now if I think Philadelphia can exceed 42.5 wins, I am giving you a stone cold Steve Austin like hell yes to that question, because I think they're going to be a very good team in that conference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's completely over that line. I will say, your favorite city, Vegas, the lines aren't set on how people who are knowledgeable about the game, and by the way, the people who set the lines are very knowledgeable about the game. The lines aren't set by who they think will win and who they think the under-over titles. It's set by how the money comes in. And the public is very easily sort of swayed.
My money comes in.
Right, well.
I'll tweak that line.
Tweet that. Like, well, no, I mean.
That every 44.5 by the time I'm done.
Look, we are in a sports culture right now where everybody is either amazing or terrible, right? So the 76ers, they're trash, quote unquote, right? They're trash. Joel Embiid's never going to stay healthy, ever. Like, blah, 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 blah. And that's why the money comes in and has the Sixers at 42. Obviously, I think people looking at that roster know this team has real potential in this conference with Boston and Indiana, unfortunately crippled by injuries. And again, as it has been for years and years, a lot of it depends on the health of Joel Embiid, because he is so dominant, because he is just such a presence and the gravity he provides. Paul George, obviously, I think, you have to expect an up and down injury season from him. That's just what we've seen. It's been a couple exceptions where he's played 78, 79 games, but in general, it's sort of, he's gone for 4 games, he's back. He's gone for 2 weeks, he's back. I think that is probably something you can average out, but the real question is, how much of the season are they getting Joel Embiid? How consistently, so those guys can form chemistry? And it's not just physical health, right? It's in the mind as well. And again, I want to reiterate, I am not calling Joel Embiid mentally weak. He has been through so much. He is obviously incredibly mentally strong as a person and a player. But you saw last season a real reticence, a hesitation to get on the court in those sort of 50-50, do I feel okay to play situations? Every single time he would pull back and say, no, I can't play. And I told you once that it felt to me like Top Gun, where Tom Cruise sometimes was like, what it was when they did the final battle, and he was like,
it's no good.
It's no good. So I think he has to get over that hump of the fear, and it is reasonable, right? It is appropriate fear, as Pat Riley used to say. If you have been injured that much and had to spend that much time on the bench watching your team, you don't want to take that chance if you feel like it's a little iffy. Unfortunately, in the NBA, you have to push through some of that sometimes. So the mental sort of approach and sort of him just getting more comfortable with his body out on the floor, and then also the physical, can he stay healthy? And if he can stay healthy, I would put them in that top 3 tier with the 3 other teams we've talked.
I mean, they have the talent. Like Tyrese Maxey is a stud. Like Jared McCain coming back. Like he was outstanding during his rookie year before he got injured and lost the second half of the season. Like they've got they go 7-8 guys deep with real guys. I think you're 100% right that everything is predicated on the health of Joel Embiid. He has got to give them 60-ish games and be at full strength going to the playoffs. That is no doubt about that. I also think ancillarily, that's a word.
Sure.
We'll call it one.
It is today.
How Paul George fits is the next most important domino. In the limited time we saw him out there, I don't think he ever looked comfortable playing with that group. Like when he was his final year with the Clippers, he was the man for most of it. Kawhi was hurt, some during that year. He played, 75 games that year, was an all-star. He had the ball in his hands a lot. In Philadelphia, he's never going to have the ball in his hands as much when they're fully healthy. It's going to be Embiid first. Maxey's got to get his touches, and then George is going to have to find a way to find his way, find his offense other ways. Maybe it's just becoming a more consistent spot-up shooter, different opportunities in ISO, but he's going to have to get creative and get comfortable in that role because he's there to me. He's the third option in Philadelphia. Like it goes Embiid, Maxey, and then George is number 2, or number 3. If he's going to have to find a way to get comfortable in that position.
On paper, it looks like it should work.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about these fits. Right. We talked about these fits with these other teams earlier. That was a trade where it felt like, man, that's a fit, right? You've got 3 guys, Maxey with Paul George, with Embiid. None of them do the same thing, right? So they're each contributing something. No one's trying to sort of be like, oh, how much is this guy doing it? How much is that guy doing it? So on paper, he should feel comfortable. And by the way, since his Indiana days, which were quite a long time ago at this point, he's always been or had a co-star. Right? It's not like he's new to playing with a bunch of other guys on the court.
Or with a ball dominant guy, play with Russell Westbrook.
Absolutely. And James Harden.
Yeah.
So, this is not a new situation for him basketball-wise, and the fit should be there. So I don't know if the discomfort was just not knowing how to insert himself, as you said, or if the discomfort was, I'm in a new place, I'm in a new situation. You have to remember when he left LA, and it was his decision, but he wasn't just leaving the team he had been with. He's leaving his home, his parents, who he's very close to, his extended family. So I don't know if it was a little bit of a Damian Lillard in Milwaukee situation, and now he's sort of more settled in Philadelphia, or I don't know if it's a basketball situation. But you're right, it's got to work there.
It's a good point about the personal side of it. I don't think he ever really wanted to leave LA. It's just, hey, you get a 4-year max offer, you take it, and you pack your bags and go to Philadelphia. Maybe there is some discomfort early on, get used to it. But it's a huge year for everybody. Like for Embiid, even though he's got years left on his contract, like this is a crossroads kind of year. Paul George, same thing, years left in his contract, but a crossroads type of year. You've got an Eastern Conference that is wide open before Boston can reload, before the Pacers can come back. Boston especially. Boston kicks the Sixers' ass every single year. Whether it's the Ben Simmons Sixers, the Paul George Sixers, the James Harden Sixers, Al Horford, and that front court just owns the 76ers.
No more Al
Horford out there. No more Boston out there. Like, this is your opportunity. The window, Philadelphia, is wide open for you to win the Eastern Conference right now. You can erase years of history if you just go out there and play up to your expectations. I'm very anxious to see not only how they do it, I'm anxious to see how they talk about it in training camp. Like when Friday comes around, like I don't want to hear like Joel Embiid, hopefully don't hear that Joel Embiid's like, yeah, we're coming along. We're getting there. We're hoping to get in some No, I want to be like, I'll be there for the preseason opener. Paul George, I know he's banged up right now. I want to hear like, I'll be ready to go, once the season starts. Tyrese Maxey, ready to hit the ground running. Jared McCain, ready to hit the ground running. Like, the last thing you want to hear if you're a 76ers fan is some equivocation from the Sixers. Like, yeah, we'll see how it goes when we start the season. Because that's what we got last year. Their season ended when Joel Embiid sort of showed up at training camp and wasn't ready to play at all and couldn't play at the start of the season. From there, it was a wrap. You got to hope, if you're a Philly fan, that is not the case this year.
Well, look, you'd mentioned the Sixers social media. those pictures have gotten people excited. It's mostly
They got me excited.
Right, but it's mostly still photographs, right? I think they released 5 seconds of video.
Couple of clips. It was like 5-second clips there. Saw Joel Embiid. No knee brace on Embiid. Shooting jumpers.
Well, this is what I can say that you can tell in a photograph, right? Is he playing with a knee brace on or off? So that's very, encouraging for Sixers fans.
He's just shooting with it. I don't know if it's... Again, I'm way over my skis on this one.
No. But the other thing that you can tell in a still photograph is what kind of shape he's in. And there was one picture released where he's wearing kind of the half shirt, let me show off, whatever. And he is lighter than he had been playing for at least last season and possibly the last couple seasons. And that makes a huge difference in those lower body injuries when you are that enormous as he is. So that's a good sign.
We'll see what happens Friday. I'm anxious to get down to Philadelphia for the start of their training camp. All right, last thing for you. Our good friend Tim Bontemps, Timmy Poles, has a new one out on ESPN.com where he spoke to a bunch of coaches, executives, staffers, and whatnot, high-ranking people within the NBA teams to kind of get to take their temperature on the offseason. And one of the things that stood out to me in that poll was a question at the end where he asked them who was going to win each conference. And look, being a mix in the East, Cleveland, New York, Orlando, it's all fine and dandy. But of the 20 people that he asked, who was going to win the Western Conference, 18 of them picked Oklahoma City. Now, we know Oklahoma City is great, and for a champion, they have as more room for organic growth than any champion in recent memory, maybe a champion in history when you consider Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, all the other young guys they have on that bench. But for 18 out of 20 to pick Oklahoma City and not the other two pick Denver, a team that I am high on going into this year, a Denver team that in Tim's poll, everybody said has the best player in the game by a country mile, Nikola Jokic. A Denver team that went out and did what they were supposed to do in the offseason. They beefed up their bench. They cleaned up their rotation. They got Bruce Brown back. They got a big in Valanciunas to back up Nikola Jokic. The Cam Johnson deal, a lot of people are pretty high on Cam Johnson swapping out for Michael Porter Jr. They did everything right. Like they get an A+ in the offseason. And remember, they pushed Oklahoma City to 7 games in that conference semifinals. And among the reasons they lost is that they were so banged up and just so out of gas from the starting 5 having to do everything for that team. So it surprised me a little that so few people in that poll picked the Denver Nuggets. What about you?
I wanted to call it up because it really is interesting. Who will be the MVP? Everybody picked Nikola Jokic, right?
Yeah,
he was Nikola Jokic over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right?
And Luka, I think, is on
and
that
Luka,
list,
right? Yeah, he's third in terms of this poll, right? So Jokic wins that. Who will be the MVP according to these voters? These voters now. Who is the best player right now? Nikola Jokic got 19 votes. Luka Doncic got 1. Nobody else got any. So 19 different people of their 20-person poll think that he's the best player on earth right now, right? So there's that. Who will be the best? This is like looking future casting, Americans, going through the poll to see what else applies to Jokic for the Denver Nuggets. So I believe one of them was, which team had the best offseason? And you look, and the Denver Nuggets are right up there. The Atlanta Hawks actually got the top spot there, which they had a great offseason, but the Denver Nuggets are next, right? So if you look at all of those different categories that these same voters voted for Denver, and then you look at that final number of who is going to win, and you have 18 people voting for the Thunder and only 2 voting for the Nuggets, that tells me that this group of people, front office people that Tim does a good job of getting a cross-section of, they think that the Thunder are so high on the highest pedestal that it doesn't matter what the rest of the West does. It doesn't matter who the best player is, that they are still going to win. And the last team that kind of had that juice was the Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, right? The Warriors, those Warriors teams. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter that Cleveland had the best player in the game at the time, right? Didn't matter what anybody else did underneath their golden glow because the Warriors were just still going to be better. So these voters are saying it doesn't matter that Nikola Jokic is the best player. It doesn't matter that they had such a great offseason. 18 out of these 20 voters thought the Thunder are so high above them and above everybody else, they're still going to win. I'm not sure that the Thunder should get that level of designation. I think that they've earned the right to be the favorite this year. But I don't know if they are Golden State Warriors in their prime level of a team. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. I hesitate to say I think Denver should be the favorite going in because Oklahoma City is the defending champ and they are so good. But I keep going back to that second round series. And yeah, the Nuggets got annihilated in Game 7, but that has much to do with fatigue and lack of depth than
which, by the way, is a category.
Is a category, no doubt about it. And Oklahoma City's not going to have to worry too much about fatigue because they still go 10 deep.
Right.
They got Nikola Topic back this year is going to be part of their rotation. Like it's the river keeps running down in Oklahoma City. I just think the fact that Denver could push them to 7 games with their lack of depth told me something. And if they could do it with Aaron Gordon, who couldn't raise his arm at some point. He was dealing with a whole bunch of different injuries towards the end. Murray dealing with some stuff, MPJ dealing with some stuff. If they can get to the playoffs fully healthy, and they're going to have an opportunity now because I think they will give Jokic a night off or two during the season. I think they will be able to throw Bruce Brown in there to give Murray a night off here or there. They'll be able to go deeper into their bench and not have to play Jokic, Murray, Cam Johnson now 38 minutes per game to try to be competitive and win these Western Conference games. I just loved everything they did. I think Bruce Brown hasn't played well since he left Denver, but knows how to play in Denver, knows how to play opposite Nikola Jokic. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to be a reasonable facsimile of what Kentavious Caldwell-Pope gave them for many years in Denver. I think we are, as much as we talked about Houston at the top, and I think they're dangerous, a bunch of other dangerous teams in the West. Right now, it looks like we're barreling towards that immovable object versus giant rock. Unstoppable force, rather. And I think we're headed towards that. And I don't know who wins that series right now.
And by the way, the Thunder, I will keep saying this, the West is so competitive and all of these teams are so deep and so good. How the bracket turns out is going to be so important with what happens to these teams in the playoffs.
Oklahoma City doesn't want to get the Lakers.
And I was going to say, the Achilles heel so far for this Thunder team has been Luka Doncic.
Skinny
Luka Doncic Fat Luka has dominated them.
It's true.
Fat Luka.
Imagine what skinny Luka could do.
Well, that's the point, right? So I'm not saying that in a 7-game series, I'm definitely picking the Lakers over the Thunder. I want to see how all these teams play out. The Lakers have to convince me still on defense and all of the other things. But I can't say that the Thunder are this sort of impenetrable highest among high when there's a guy out there in the conference who so far has had his way with them. And so, yes, Oklahoma City and Denver feels a little bit of unstoppable force, immovable object, but I don't know. I mean, there's a chance one of those teams doesn't even get to the conference finals because the bracket doesn't turn out from them and they happen to face in an early round a team that sort of has their number that isn't necessarily the best team, but just the matchup is bad.
Yeah. When I talk to people at Oklahoma City, one thing they bring up is that they think that the jump Chet's going to make this year because, he couldn't get momentum going last year, missed 50 games with injury. Having that full offseason to continue to work on strength, on skill, they're not going to have to rely on those two big lineups as often as they did last season. I think you're going to see Chet play a lot more center this year. That'll cost Hartenstein some minutes, but if Chet's able to play against bigger teams at center, all of a sudden it unlocks a lot of things you want to do in Oklahoma City by playing Jalen Williams a little bigger, play Lou Dort a little bit bigger. Maybe you get Cason Wallace up there, who is, I think, another guy primed for a big jump. I think people are looking at Chet in a weird way, almost like an offseason pickup. It's like, all right, you get Chet, the guy you had last year was pretty good. The guy you get next year is going to be really good.
Yeah, and look, that may happen. And Oklahoma City may just run away with it. Yeah. We don't know. But I think there are enough wild cards around the West that we'll have to see. And also, by the way, as much talent as Oklahoma City has, as much, sort of elite and depth that they have, they're not the young, scrappy, no one thought we could do it team anymore.
No, they'll have a target on their back this
They're
year.
just not.
Yeah.
So how will they respond to that? How will they respond to sort of the satisfaction of already having won one? Maybe it won't affect them at all. Maybe they're so young that they're sort of just keep barreling ahead and think of what they can do, and they've got a dynasty in their eyes and all of this stuff. But we just don't know yet.
Yeah.
And that's a factor.
Well, when they reseed in 2036, we'll see.
Not going to happen.
Wow. There's a lot of GMs out there, Rachel, that are cursing as they're listening to this podcast.
And they're all in the West.
Yes, they are all in the West.